Hi everybody, my name is Katie Baumgarten and I am the second grade tutor at the Dallas, North Texas Center. This is my son Thomas and he is also a second grade student. And today we're going to be using the Sound Beginnings book and I'm going to be taking you through a sentence dictation lesson. And these lessons happen the second semester. They are after the student has learned a lot of phonograms, and they're also going to be working on punctuation and some spelling rules as well. So the very first dictation lesson starts off with the student copying from the board. So you're going to actually write the sentences on the board and the student's going to copy them. So the first sentence that I have written here is, a dog is big. So Thomas, can you write the sentence, a dog is big, on your first line? And of course, what do we start with when we start our sentences?
A capital letter.
A capital letter, that's right. So as the student is writing their sentences, you just want to keep an eye on their letter formation, making sure they're starting letters in the right spot. D's and B's are common problems where they either flip them around or they start them in the wrong spot. And of course, we want to encourage those clock face letters that they're starting at the 2 o'clock. And this is not about the student going quickly and getting this done fast. This is working on handwriting as well. And once the student completes the sentence, then we're then going to be going over the different markings that the student is going to include in the sentence. Good job, Thomas. I really like that B. You started it in the right spot and you made sure that it touched the middle dotted line and the baseline. Great. And how do we end our sentences?
With a period or a comma or an exclamation mark.
Right. And commas don't end sentences, but they are used in the middle of sentences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in my class, this is not a sound beginnings thing, but I do like to associate different punctuation with sounds. For example, a period is a sound, which makes it sound like a screeching tire. And a comma is a, so they know that it's a pause where you're supposed to take a breath. And I have different sounds associated with other punctuation marks as well. Okay, Thomas, so you wrote a dog is big. Now, there are actually 2 markings in this sentence. Can you figure out what they are? That's right. So Thomas, you put a line over the A. Why did you put a line over the A?
Because it said its name.
Right, it says its name. A, it's a long vowel. And you also put a 2 over the S. Why did you put a 2 over the S?
Because it's the S's second sound.
That's right. What are the 2 sounds of S? That's right. So the point of this lesson is actually to discuss antonyms. So the next sentence they're going to write is, a rat is small. So after they write that sentence, you're going to go through the same process of making a comment on how their letters are being formed, if they're being formed properly or not. You can always stop the student and reinforce proper handwriting and sentence or letter formation. You also want to remind them of capital letters and punctuation. And then you're going to discuss what an antonym is. So there are 2 words here. They're in these sentences, and they're actually opposites. That's what antonym means. Can you figure out which 2 of the words are opposite in these sentences?
A dog is big and a rat is small.
Right. So which of the 2 words are opposite?
Big and small.
Big and small. That's an antonym. And here in another set of sentences, we have another set of antonyms. Can you identify what those are?
The sun is hot, ice is cold.
And what are the 2 words that are antonyms?
Hot and cold.
Exactly. And we're going to write those next. So again, you can continue with working on the sentences one at a time, making sure to write them out first. After you have done the sentence dictation lesson once or twice, the book likes you to do it about 3 or 4 times. You're then going to have the student try and do it on their own based on your own dictation without copying it from the board. So maybe in 2 days, I might say, Thomas, I want you to write a dog is big. And he will write it completely on his own without having to copy it from the board. I'll then write it on the board. If he's getting stuck, I can write to the point where he's getting stuck and we can work on it together. Or I'll write it on the board and then I might have him come up to the board and write out all the different markings. Later on, as the sentences become more complicated, there's more and more spelling rules and more markings. And sometimes I'll tell the student that this particular sentence has 4 markings and 1 rule. Can you try and figure out where the markings are and what that particular rule is? And they like that. It's a challenge. And of course, always help them along the way. You don't want this to become a source of frustration. Sometimes the rules can be too much for particular students. So you're not required to necessarily have them perfectly memorized in 2nd grade, but we do encourage the parents at home to repeat the rules to the student and maybe let them have a chance at trying to define what the rules are when you mark them on a word. So that's the end of the sentence dictation lesson. Please let us know if you have any questions.